So guys, Twitter accepts Elon Musk offer to buy company for $44 billion. Can you guys believe it? Would you guys actually spend $44 billion on Twitter?
So reading ahead, Twitter on Monday accepted Elon Musk's bid to take over the company and go private.
Oh, so Twitter's now going to be private.
A deal that would give the world's richest person control over the social media network, where he is also among its most influential users.
Hey, Musk Ovar, can you make me a influencer on Twitter?
The $44 billion deal marked the close of a dramatic courtship and a change of heart at Twitter, where many executives and board members initially opposed Mr. Musk's takeover approach. The deal has polarized Twitter employees, users, and regulators over the power tech giants wield in determining the parameters of disclosure on the internet and how those companies enforce their rules.
They actually initially said no to Mr. Musk's takeover approach. Oh, what do you think changed their mind of Musk buying Twitter? Twitter is actually not in that bad situation. More money. So initially Musk must have offered less than $44 billion. It must have been like $30 billion. And now he's like, okay, final price, $44 billion, and they're like sold.
The two sides worked through the night to hash out a deal in which Mr. Musk plans to take Twitter private, in a deal valuing the company at $54.20 a share. The takeover, if it goes through, would mark one of the biggest acquisitions of a tech company and will likely affect the direction of social media. Mr. Musk will bring a commitment to a more hands-off approach on speech moderation to a company that has struggled to reconcile freewheeling conversation with content that appeals to advertisers.
So my question here, why is he taking it private? What makes it beneficial for him if Twitter becomes a private company? He has free will to revamp the company how he feels. Hard to make big changes to in a public company. He will have more ultimate control without having to go through board approval. So he now just has Twitter for $44 billion. So did Twitter stock go up? So it's at $51. So he spent extra $3 more buying Twitter. Cause he got leaked? Why didn't anyone tell me, man?
So on Monday, a day after the Wall Street Journal first reported that a deal was closed, Mr. Musk tweeted to indicate that he wanted the platform to be a destination for wide-ranging disclosure and disagreement. I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter because it is what free speech means. Okay, Mr. Musk said after the deal was announced that he wants to make Twitter a better user experience, in part by adding new features and fighting spam.
So what type of feature do you think he'll be adding or fighting spam? The time to buy the stock was last week or before on First News. It was pretty much full priced in by today. Do you guys think that Musk will do a good job on social media, like managing a social media platform? So what do you guys find good in Twitter that makes you guys want to use it? Another stalking tool for you? Twitter newsfeed was somewhat useful, so I'm guessing you guys use Twitter for just the quick news or stalking. And Tesla's stock actually dipped a bit when this news came out. Yeah, he's just wanting control over everything that he likes.
Let's continue. Twitter is facing significant business challenges and has already embarked on a turnaround plan after a fight with activist Elliott Management Corp about 2 years ago. Twitter said a little over a year ago that it aimed to at least double its revenue to $7.5 billion by the end of 2023 and reach at least 315 million so-called monetizable daily active users at that time. To reach that latter goal, the company would need to sharply increase its user growth, which has been in a single-digit percentage point for most of the past few years.
So overall, Twitter hasn't been doing a good job in terms of money. And I'm guessing this fight with the activist company also brought them down a bit. Their stock prices isn't that bad, but maybe trying to figure out a way to monetize every single little tweet has been a bit hard for Twitter. Not using the money to update Tesla cars. Yeah. Or maybe could it be that Musk doesn't know how to make Tesla cars better and that he's trying to move on to a different industry such as social media? Because I feel like if you're not really good with technology, like car technology, it'll be hard to make a car better. I guess other people does it for him, but I feel like it's much easier if you like social media more to be part of a social media company than a car company. It's actually a good idea. He can use social media platform for the vehicles. Yeah.
Among the other issues Mr. Musk will face in whether to allow Donald Trump back on Twitter after the former president's personal account was permanently suspended by the company last year in the wake of the January 6, 2021 attack on U.S. Capitol by a mob of Republican supporters seeking to interfere with the certification of President Biden's 2020 election win. Mr. Trump told Fox News on Monday that he has no plans to return to Twitter and would instead use his startup social media network, Truth Social, as his means of reaching followers. At an all-hand employee meeting on Monday afternoon, Twitter chief executive said there are no layoffs planned and that the company's priorities aren't changing before the deal closes, according to a person who heard the remarks. The chief executive said, once Mr. Musk takes over, we don't know what direction the company may go, the person said.
So it seems that in the article, I think this is a very important point to kind of highlight, is that even the CEO of Twitter doesn't know what direction the company may go. Does Twitter have a direction already? I mean, they tried really hard to make it monetizing or figure out a way they could use ads so that they could get some money, but that hasn't been going well for Twitter. Musk tend to think 10 years ahead in terms of business. He probably has a vision for it. Yeah, I'll be questioning about his direction for Twitter.
So the chief said Mr. Musk agreed to convert employee stock holdings to cash once the deal closes and pay them out on the existing vesting schedule. Brett Taylor, Twitter's independent board chairman, said the deal reflects the best outcome for shareholder. The San Francisco-based social media company had been expected to rebuff the offer, which Mr. Musk made April 14th, without saying how much he would pay for it. Twitter, a day after the unsolicited offer came, adopted a so-called poison pill designed to make it more difficult for Mr. Musk to reach more than a 15% stake in the company. Twitter changed its posture after Mr. Musk detailed elements of his financing plan for the takeover. On April 21st, he said he had $46.5 billion in funding lined up. Twitter share rose sharply and company executive opened the door to negotiation. The share has climbed 32% after Mr. Musk's disclosure. Mr. Musk. That puts the stock ahead for the year, outpacing other technology companies and the broader market. The turnabout on Twitter's plan came after Mr. Musk met privately Friday with several shareholders to extol his proposal while repeating that the board had a yes or no decision.
Musk got a huge loan from many hedge fund and private equity firm to buy out Twitter. I just really enjoy the fact that Twitter was definitely not thinking of selling the company, but then after giving Twitter a little overview of how much he has in, like, in his pocket, being like, hey, I have 46.5 billion. Everyone's Twitter board member was like, oh, that's actually worth selling Twitter. I think some bank already verified they posted some debts. Oh, he also borrowed against his Tesla shares. Twitter earning was supposed to be this Thursday. They knew their stock would be dumped from the terrible earnings, so it was a good choice to accept his offer. I don't think he did this because he was bored. He probably had something in his mind, but I'm just still not understanding why. Oh, so maybe it could be something related to politics. Think about implementing social media into your car or space program. Well, I don't want, if I'm gonna buy a Tesla, I don't want it to pre-download Twitter. He has publicly stated that he didn't like how one-sided social media has become, only airing the views of liberals and leftists while openly banning conservatives. Oh.
Twitter, at the beginning of the month, invited Mr. Musk to join its board, which would have prevented him from owning more than 14.9% of company stock. Musk initially agreed and then rejected the offer. And then Mr. Musk's proposed change for the platform includes softening its stance on content moderation, creating an edit feature for Twitter, for tweets, making Twitter's algorithm open source, which would allow people outside the company to view it and suggest change and relying less on advertising.
Now kind of saying, hey, you don't really need money for advertising since I own it, and that they're gonna create an edit feature. I mean, this should have been there already. And platform and softening its stance on content moderation. I'm guessing this is kind of the politics that you guys were talking about earlier. I'm not sure he ever intended to join the board. He did say yes earlier, but then I guess I no. Probably buying time to finalize the money to make his bid. Ah! So even before when he said, yeah, I'll agree, but then rejected, was giving Musk time to buy Twitter. Time to make money for buying Twitter. Their algorithm is pretty much open source already. It's just machine learning on keywords. I'm guessing they have other things, because if it's that simple and he's like, oh, we'll make it open source, you know. So there is a prospectus floating around regarding his plan for Twitter from the SEC. There is his filing. So this is his filing on buying Twitter, right? Wow, name of reporting person, it's Elon R. Musk. So his shared voting power is 73 million. So he's getting all of share. Brett Taylor, chairman of board. I invested in Twitter as I believe it is in its potential to the platform for free speech around the globe. I believe free speech is a social imperative for a functioning democracy. However, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve this societal imperative. In its current form, Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. As a result, I am offering to buy 100% of Twitter for $54.20 per share in cash, a 54% premium over the day before I began investing in Twitter, and a 38% premium over the day before my investment was publicly announced. My offer is now my best and final offer, and if not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. Twitter has extraordinary potential. I will unlock it. Elon Musk. And then these are all the text scripts. Whoa, it's so cool. They have scripts. So $54.20 was just a meme? They did that on purpose? Cause no wonder it was being right now at $51, but adding $3 more. Now there's even a text sent as I indicated this weekend. I believe that the company should go private to go through the changes that need to be made. After the past several days of thinking this over, I have decided I want to acquire the company and take it private. I'm going to send you an offer letter tonight. It will be public in the morning. Are you available to chat? And that the voice script is best and final. I'm not playing the back and forth game. I have moved straight to the end of buying the thing. It's a high price and your shareholders will love it. If the deal doesn't work, given that I don't have confidence in management, nor do I believe I can drive the necessary change in the public market, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. This is not a threat. It's simply not a good investment without the changes that need to be made. And those changes won't happen without taking the company private. My advisors and my team are available after you get the letter to answer any questions. There will be more detail in our public filing. After you receive the letter and review the public filing, your teams can call my family office with any questions. Okay, I know he said this is not a threat, but it feels like this is a threat. This is totally a threat. I bought this much and you don't buy it? Musk is saying, hey, I want to buy Twitter. And I think he's not happy with how Twitter is banning people, it seems like. Publicly, I'm not threatening you, but deep down with my shares that I've been purchasing, I'm threatening you. Not threat, because threats are actionable, you can get sued, but aggressive negotiation. And you guys are saying this $5.40, guys. This $5.40. Right now, the stock price is at $51 something. He added a bit of like a couple of millions just for the meme of 420. Dude, he's kind of scary, guys. I'm not sure if it will be halted yet. I think the vote still has to confirm the buyout. Oh. So what happened to people who own Twitter shares right now? For example, we have a couple of people on chat who owns Twitter. Is Musk gonna buy out those shares as well, or just kind of leave it because it doesn't do harm? He's buying every share. Wait, then some of you guys are gonna be rich. Hey. And I know, whoa, you will just wake up one morning with cash and no more stock.
So, Twitter should be more cautious when deciding to take down tweets or permanently ban user accounts, Musk said, pointing to temporary suspension as a better solution.
So he wasn't really liking the fact that Twitter decided to take down tweets or banning people. So I guess that's why.
Musk said he also wants the platform to be more transparent when it takes action that amplifies or reduces a tweet's reach. He said he wasn't certain how some of those ideas would be implemented. Musk has said he wants Twitter to rely less on advertising, which provided roughly 90% of its revenue in 2021, and shift its business model more towards subscription. So now the platform currently offers a subscription-based service called Twitter Blue, which gives customers premium serve features like undo tweet for $3. Musk also floated the idea of cutting staff, closing the company's San Francisco headquarters building, and not giving the board of directors a salary. The latter could save roughly $3 million a year alone.
They had way too much staff for what they're actually worth. So
his other proposed changes for Twitter includes trying to stop spam and scam bots and allowing for longer tweets. Currently it's at 280 characters. On Thursday, Twitter is scheduled to announce its first quarter earnings. The company said on Monday it would no longer be holding a call with analysts that day.
So guys, that's Twitter for you guys. Musk mentioned once he would like to use real ID for member. One person, one account. Wait, I like that though. Well, if you work at Twitter, better be top of your game. Elon tends to be very picky who he hires. For everyone on chat, who agrees with Musk's, who likes the fact that Musk bought Twitter? And that it was a good decision both for Musk and all the other companies being that he owns. While the voting is going on, why are you guys saying media in private ownership is bad? I know some people are saying it's bad because private control of media can push their own issues / views. I don't agree. Media should be private or controlled by one person. On the other hand, I did not like the direction Twitter was going either. Very one-sided. I think media company as public as worse. Got to keep in mind only a few huge investors usually control it. So I guess we're talking about if we're having like one person controlling it versus like 3 people controlling, 3 or 4 people controlling it. But if you have 3 or 4 people like-minded. So now we're thinking about state controlling it. Is state controlling media better? Media is privatized. It can be very biased, and what media spreads can direct towards profit rather than truth. So all of the top 10 of the Forbes list controls some kind of media outlet. For example, what does Amazon hold? Isn't Amazon top 10? So we have actually half and half. Half of you guys are saying yes, it was good idea that Musk owns Twitter or all the changes that he's gonna make, and then half of you guys are saying no, Twitter, maybe Musk should have focused more on, you know, his cars and SpaceX. So is this actually a good idea? I'm not sure. Okay, let's kind of organize what we're typing right now. So first of all, we're saying that maybe some people are agreeing the fact that if Twitter is being a private company, then the news that they're going to spread or things that gets violated will be very one-sided. But I think that's going on right now with Twitter already, right? So then now we're saying, should all the media be owned by state? And I'm guessing that was all no. And that state-controlled media is normally probably in like China, Venezuela, and etc. And that state-controlled media is also against US Constitution. Oh, I didn't know about that. And that it's dangerous. And now people are saying Twitter became very toxic as a public company, but I guess at the same time, it's bad. The argument of it against governmental control is government spreading propaganda. An agreement against private company is that they tend to operate towards profit. So both sucks. But then right now people are saying even Twitter is a public company and it's still bad. So so then who should own media companies then? Like now there's one person to point at if Twitter angers the public. Elon is painting a target on himself. That's true. Maybe he could shut down Twitter altogether and wouldn't impact me at all. Twitter is a bit different because even though it's being used for news a lot, it's not exactly a news outlet. I think their control of non-media people just spreading random thing wasn't the worst thing. I think most people like to scream free speech but aren't addressing the content of the speech that was being censored or removed. We'll have to see how much Twitter's gonna change. Or is it actually going to change is my number one question. Is he actually going to do what he's saying of the undo feature and that he's moving on to subscription? So whatever, I guess we're adding on another $3 per month or maybe like $5. And the fact that, you know, it's gonna be less advertising, which might be actually good, seeing that we don't have to really worry about what's being advertised. It really sucks to be the employee for Twitter because they are cutting a lot of staff, I'm guessing. He's spending $3 million a year by cutting staff and not giving board of salaries just to make the 4.420 joke. That's all the news we'll talk about for Twitter and Elon Musk. It was pretty interesting because Musk seemed to be very angry. The fact that if you didn't pay attention, I'll be very mad with you. Or the fact that, you know, if you didn't sell Twitter to me, I'm going to not threaten you, but, you know, forcefully pressure you into selling Twitter. Maybe it's the same thing. So from now, we'll have to see if Elon Musk can actually make Twitter into a private company and see how much it'll become. So that was Twitter and Elon Musk for